Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. 30-year-old married mother of two here. I thought I had the perfect family, but in the span of a week, my life has somehow collapsed into confusion and chaos, and I don't know what to do. I met my husband when we were both in college. I was a computer science major, and he was studying literature. He graduated before me and was doing his PhD when I was finally done with my course. We started dating when he was in the final year of his PhD and have been together ever since. After 3 years of dating, he proposed to me and we got engaged. Shortly before the proposal, I started working for a tech startup. I spent a couple of years on that venture, but it never took off. However, a year ago, I was offered a position at a big tech company, and now I make six figures a year. My husband works as a college professor. He is also writing his book and often gets published. As a person who can hardly focus enough to read a magazine properly, I'm proud of him and all the beautiful work he produces, and never thought that our careers would be an issue in our relationship. So, what happened shocked me, to say the least. Let me give you some more context. So, after we got engaged, and even in the first year of our marriage, my husband was the one with a stable job, while I was still trying to figure out my career. I always knew I wanted to build something of my own instead of getting a traditional job, but that obviously comes with a lot of challenges. In my case, I wasn't successful, but I have no complaints or regrets. I was pretty much struggling financially while my husband got his teaching job. I lost some money in my tech startup, and he has always been super supportive of me, even when almost everyone around me told me that the business will never take off and I should just give up. I got pregnant and gave birth to twin baby girls a couple of years ago, and I got my current job when my babies were 7 months old. I think that's when I started to see changes in him. The money is amazing, so we could easily afford babysitters and I could go to work. Apart from that, my mother in law often watches the babies because she lives very close to our home. My husband's dad passed away years ago, and my mother in law has not remarried. She is also a retired elementary school teacher, so she's great with kids in general. I could have never imagined the things they were saying and discussing about me in secret between the two of them. Anyways, I started work when my babies were 7 months old. The first few months were great. I was enjoying my time working, and having so much money for the first time in my life made me feel amazing about myself. But that's when I started to notice my husband acting a little weird. Initially, it was pretty subtle. He used to ask me if I'm okay with staying away from the babies for most of the day and all that. I told him the truth, that it was obviously incredibly hard and I missed them all the time, but the money I was making would give them a great life ahead. Slowly, he started voicing his ideas in a stronger manner. When it was almost a year of me working and I was talking about potential raises and a better position, his behavior shifted all of a sudden. In the beginning, he seemed very happy about my raise, but after a month or two, he became very uncomfortable. He told me that it was nice seeing me enjoy work, but that he believed that the babies needed a full-time parent. I tried to convince him that they have an amazing babysitter, and half the time they were with family thanks to mother in law. But he said those were temporary measures and we can't depend on them. We started having frequent fights regarding this, and at first, I thought he was just concerned that if I got a raise, I'd have to work longer hours, which was not necessarily true. It all depends on the position. But then he just said it outright. He told me that he thinks that it would be better for our family if I quit my job and become a stay-at-home mom. This is ridiculous to me. Why would I leave my job? And even more confusing than that was the fact that my husband, who had been nothing but supportive during the entirety of my professional life, was suddenly telling me to give it all up. I tried to be reasonable. I begged him to be more understanding, and I showed him that my career will never come between the love I have for our children. But he only seemed interested in having me quit my job. Things got to a point where I was not even speaking to him, and he moved out with the babies at my mother-in-law's place. I was absolutely heartbroken, and I miss my babies. I even talked to my friends about it, and everyone told me that it was just my husband getting insecure about the fact that I was making more money than him. It has been around a week since my husband moved out to my mother-in-law's place. Every day after coming back from work, I visit them to see the babies. Neither of them has an objection to that, but every time I visit, my mother-in-law is snarky and rude to me about how she would never give up her children for something as superficial as money. Every effort I have made to make her understand that it's not about money, but about being independent and making an effort to provide a better future for the girls has been in vain. 2 days ago, I ran into my husband at my mother-in-law's house, and he told me that we need to arrive at a decision. He told me that I had to give him an answer by the end of the week, or else we might be looking at a separation. I told him that I need no time to make a decision, and that if he could not support my choice to have a career, then there is no point in waiting. He refused to back down from his position and told me that in that case, he wants a divorce and full custody of our children. I flat out refused and told him that if needed, I would take the case to trial and fight for my right to our kids. I guess I'm getting divorced, and I know it'll be a messy one. My last update was a few days ago. We have officially decided to separate. The house is legally owned by my husband. I'm planning to move out and get a place of my own. I want nothing to do with this house, with all our memories. I was packing my things, and that's when I came across something really interesting. I saw that my husband had left his home laptop in the bedroom. I had been sleeping in the guest bedroom all this time because I did not want to be in the room that I shared with my husband, so I had not found it all this time. I don't know why I did it because I have never gone through his stuff ever before. But something in my heart told me that I should take a look, and boy, am I glad I listened to my instincts. For a while, I even believed that the whole reason behind this mess was my husband's fragile ego, but that I came across something way more serious than I could have imagined on my husband's laptop. I started up the laptop. The password was easy enough to guess. He's the kind of person who uses the same password for everything, and after all the time we've been together, I know what that is. The moment it got connected to the Wi-Fi, an iMessage popped up. I accidentally clicked it and came across his messages. The first text was from my mother-in-law. She had sent him the contacts of some lawyers. Seeing this majorly pissed me off. This woman had just been making me miserable and fueling my husband's opinions against me this whole time. I started going through their texts. There wasn't a lot in the last few weeks because obviously they had been living together, but something from exactly 3 weeks ago caught my eye. It was a text from her saying, "We've warned her, but if she doesn't listen, it's her funeral. You should leave with the babies." What on earth did that mean? I kind of got spooked and started scrolling up and reading their whole conversation. What I discovered has left me terrified. I'll just sum it up here for you guys. So, ever since I started working, I have regularly put a deposit in the joint account for our babies. I have also been looking into good investments to make, But that's a complicated process and a huge decision. So I thought that until I figure out a good option, I would put the money in the joint account for safekeeping. My husband has also been putting money in this account during our marriage, so I thought nothing of it. What I did not know, though, is that my husband has been slowly stealing money from that account and using it on what can only be described as a pyramid scheme. My mother-in-law has also been involved in the same company for quite some time. The messed up part is that my husband has been doing it under my name, with my money. As expected, he had gotten in trouble with those people and they were pressuring him to make a very large payment because he had failed to meet some targets. He had been trying to argue with those people, saying that he, by which he meant me, had lost his job and needed time. They were asking for proof of termination, which is why he needed me to quit my job. I refused. So they were getting impatient and threatening to sue me. This is why my mother-in-law told him to leave me. I cannot even believe this. I don't know what to do. My head isn't working. I've spoken to several lawyers. This is grounds for a massive lawsuit against my husband. I'm also going to sue my mother-in-law because she has known about this from the very beginning, and she's the one who gave him the idea of telling those people about me losing my job. The only good thing about the whole situation is that I can now be pretty confident that I will get custody of my babies. The thought of fighting 2 lawsuits against the person who I thought was the love of my life is exhausting. But I'm willing to go through anything for my children. This is so shocking, OP. As someone who had a close family member become a pyramid scheme victim, those people can get pretty vicious. I hope your lawyers can get you out of this mess. Your mother-in-law is the devil. I'm sure she used the fact that your husband was probably a bit insecure about how much money you were making to manipulate him into joining this scheme. But what he did is inexcusable. I hope they both rot in jail. My ex-stepmother and I didn't always have a bad relationship, but it became obvious after she and my dad started having their own children, they would prioritize the legitimate children over me. They would convince my mom to take less child support, saying they can't afford their lifestyle. And while my mom was struggling to pay the bills and we had to spend a winter without heat or hot water, my dad enrolled my sisters into gymnastics, dance, skating lessons, and summer camps for the next year. They would go on vacations every year and buy new clothes for their kids every week. I had my toys and even furniture at my dad's house given to my siblings. At Christmas, they would give me clothes that were obviously too small and then give those to my sisters right after I opened it because they knew it would be too small. Even on vacations that I went with them on, they would ask me to babysit or take family pictures of them, and any pictures I was in, my stepmom would later crop me out of it. I wasn't allowed to use some of the towels or sheets as they were reserved for the family and not for me. They were the good towels and sheets, not for my use. I got to use the old ones and sheets that didn't fit. I was also told it was my responsibility to take care of my sisters and clean. I would even have to clean their rooms. My stepmom couldn't stand any attention going towards me. Even when I moved to uni, she told my dad she had a depressive episode and he had to take the kids to the zoo instead of helping me. But when his other daughter went to uni, they helped her move in, stayed the weekend, and even decorated for her. My stepmom always used her depression to her advantage to get my dad to take care of her or prioritize her kids if I needed him. She made comments as I got into high school and made me feel bad about myself. After the divorce, I didn't think I would be seeing her as often, but my dad invites her to all holidays and events as she is the mother of his kids. But he knows how she was towards me. And he never stopped her when she did those things in front of him. He never told her it wasn't okay. And he still doesn't think it was wrong because she was depressed. He keeps choosing her over me, and he knows she makes me uncomfortable. When I stopped visiting my dad, her depression was suddenly manageable, and she is so much happier. The whole family is. When I bring it up with my family that I'm not comfortable around her, they say I should just let it go and forgive her. But I can't. My dad never wants to discuss it, and he will defend her actions. They act like I'm the unreasonable one. NTA, please just stop going. It's okay to stop chasing the dream of a dad who loves and cares for you when it isn't going to happen. Hope things are much better for your mom's situation. You should stick around your mom, other family on your mom's side, and friends. Distance helps. Don't let them guilt you. They had years to make up for what they didn't give you. NTA, she's a manipulator. Your father is an enabler. OP, it's time. He has done everything short of straight telling you that he doesn't love you. It's okay. You're allowed to walk away. You don't even have to give them an explanation. You can block their contacts right now and never speak to them again. You have every right. She abused you in front of your father, and not only did he enable it, he joined in. He helped orchestrate this, OP. He was part of the planning and didn't care that it hurt you. You're allowed to give up on them and focus on the people in your life that make you happy. If you really want to tell him anything, just limit yourself to one statement and tell him the truth. You choose them over me every single day from the moment you got married to now. You ruined every holiday, every major event in my life. Now, you don't have to worry because I'm no longer your child. You don't get to ruin my entire childhood and make demands of me. Goodbye. There is a world of difference between forgiveness and acquiescence. Forgiveness is for you. Acquiescence is for them. My wife, female 27, and I, female 26, had our baby a couple of weeks ago. She came a little bit early, and my recovery is harder than expected, so we decided to wait before letting people come over. My dad, male 57, said that he wanted to see the baby, so we agreed to FaceTime. My stepmom, female 33, invited herself on the call, which annoyed my wife and I, but we didn't have the energy to argue. Stepmom made a comment that I should sort out a will just in case my cancer from when I was little came back, which threw me a bit because it was their first time meeting the baby, and she was just talking about me. I said that my wife and I both keep on top of all the legal stuff, and I asked if they had a plan. Dad then said that should stepmom die first, everything would go to him. Then split between me, my nearly 2-year-old half-brother, and any future children. My other siblings are on my mom and stepdad's side. And left it at that. Then I pointed out, probably that dad is significantly older than stepmom, and he went silent. Stepmom explained that all of that stuff and insurance would go to her, and when she dies, to her children. I asked if I was included in any of that, and she told me to stop being spoiled. I should note that this isn't some huge aristocratic fortune, but they're upper middle class and can afford a